Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be providing you guys with 3 tips to help you grow your glutes, especially if you have a hard time activating your glutes or feeling the burn when you have your glute day. Now, if you're like most people, you probably sit at a desk most of the day for your job. When you sit for long periods of time, your hip flexors actually are in a constant state of flexion, which means they're tight and they pull on that pelvis, making your glutes in a very elongated position. If elongated for too long, it actually loses its contractibility and it's harder to activate. So if you're one of those people that have ever been doing a glute exercise and you're like, I can't feel it in my butt, this is probably why. Now, the solution to this problem isn't as easy as just doing squats or hip thrusts to build active glutes, because if you have weak glutes, then when you do those exercises, you are going to resort to muscles that are already dominant, that are already tight, that are already active. So for example, in the squat, if you have very active quads, you're more likely use quads and resort to quads instead of using your glutes. This is what's called synergistic dominance. Now, before you panic, I am here to help, and that is why I'm providing you guys with 3 tips to get those glutes activated and to eventually grow them. Tip number 1, you want to perform low intensity glute targeted exercises frequently, like clams or lateral raises. And what these do, if you do with low weight and maybe a resistance band, it actually trains your muscles to fire. This has been a very popular fitness practice within the community for quite some time. But in 2016, a study was conducted to really put some meat behind that practice. In this study, researchers had participants do a very specific glute targeted exercise 1 minute at a time for an hour a day for 6 days. Before and after the training period, the participants also did the glute bridge, and their glute activity was actually measured, and they found that after the training period, there was a substantial increase in glute activation, which is amazing because the glute bridge is a little bit more complex of a movement as it requires both the glutes and hamstrings. So the study just goes to show that you can, by doing very glute specific targeted exercise, you can bring into more complicated exercises more glute activation. This can help keep synergistic dominance at bay and actually get you to do muscle building exercises like hip thrust and the squat and actually use more of your glute muscles. So my suggestion is that you try to do glute activation exercises daily, if not daily, at least on the days that you work your lower body. Tip number 2, utilize the mind-body connection when doing glute exercises. What does that mean? It means that when you're doing an exercise, focus on actually contracting the muscle. Think, contract the glutes. Use your glutes. And believe it or not, that actually changes the amount that you use your glutes and helps them grow. The world famous glute guy, Brett Contreras, showed in 2018 through a study in his lab that lifters can actually change the amount that they use their glutes by just focusing on contracting them. For the squat, he found that if participants focused on using their quads, glute activation was only 11% of the max capacity, whereas when they focused on using their glutes, it actually rose to 25%. For the Romanian deadlift, when participants focused on just using the hamstrings and not the glutes, the percentage of max capacity for the glutes was 9%, and when they focused on glutes, it rose to 32%. For the hip thrust, when they weren't thinking about their glutes, percentage was 21%. When they were, 53%. Most staggering was the back extension. When participants didn't focus on the glutes, it was 6% of max capacity. And then when they were, it rose to 38%. And that just goes to show the great power of the mind-body connection. If you're not focusing, if your head's not in it, you're not gonna get as much out of your workout. So block out all that noise and think about those glutes and think about contracting them. Now, before I leave this tip alone, I just want to go back into that first tip that I said about doing low impact exercises. This mind-body connection extends into that too. It's easier to have your mind focused on glute contraction when you are not lifting a heavy weight. So especially if you're a novice lifter, even if you're doing things like the hip thrust or squats, start at a low weight so you can really think about contracting those glutes. And as you get more advanced, it will become second nature. Tip number 3, do a combination of both heavy lifting with few reps and light lifting with a higher number of reps. And this is simply because your glute muscles are made of both slow twitch and fast twitch muscles, and it's about 50-50. And for those of you who don't know the difference or what the heck those are, slow twitch muscles are those for endurance. They're a lot thinner and leaner, and fast twitch are for more power and strength for short bursts of time. You might think, what? Fast twitch muscles, like they're the juice, they're the ones that get really big. Yes, don't worry, but half your program should be to specifically work on those muscles, and you do that by doing higher weight and less reps, and you'll get substantial growth from that. You can also get substantial growth for your slow twitch muscles by doing lightweight, higher reps to failure, which is really exhausting if you've ever tried it. Don't just do like a low weight and just go to 20 reps. You want to be thinking like 20-30 reps if you can. To all those ladies that love lifting and being super boss in the gym, still do that, but make sure you put into your program some dedicated time to working out those slow twitch muscles in a way that's actually going to make them bigger. Going to failure is a lot more effective for growing their size than doing heavy lifting. All right, so to sum it all up, tip number 1 is do low intensity glute targeted exercises frequently, daily if possible, but if not, doing at least on the day that you work your lower body. Tip number 2 is to have a mind-muscle connection with your glutes when you do the exercise. What can be helpful is starting out lower weight so that you can really focus on form and not the amount you're lifting, right? Because it gets harder as it gets heavier. Tip number 3, you gotta do both heavy lifting and low rep and low weight, high rep to make sure that you're working the total glute area. And once you implement all those, you are well on your way to getting bigger, better glutes. If you liked this video, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos, and leave a comment with any questions or concerns you have for me. All right, I'll see you guys next time.